Hello everyone, it's me, Vivi, and welcome to another Crash 4 video. Lately, concept artist by the name Rob Duenas, well, he's been sharing lots of concepts and ideations related to Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time. Everything you see on screen right now was drawn by Duenas and shared his utmost gratitude working with Toys for Bob and Activision. Over on his art station, he added the following. Crash 4 It's About Time has been the highlight of my career to work on. I came aboard early and saw the game through to completion. From character design, level concepts, icons, accessories and stuff yet to be revealed, Crash 4 kept us all very busy for 2+ years. There isn't a day I don't miss the crew, and couldn't be prouder of what we all achieved. If you didn't know, he also shared this on DeviantArt, that Crash 4 began development in 2017. Within the span of 3 years, not only we got a brand new, beautiful, full-fledged new Crash adventure, but we're also looking at a Crash game getting re-released on the PlayStation 5, Switch, and Xbox Series X and S within a short time span. If you recall correctly, Crash 4 released on October 2nd, and now here we are, Crash getting the greatest recognition you could ever imagine. By the way, since I'm talking about Crash 4, a little quick note I'd like to make. As another way to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the series, all players of Crash 4 receive a brand new free barebones skin for Crash and Coco. So back to the main topic of the video. There's one little sort of clarification that Duenas brought to our attention. Well, if you've been keeping tabs on his replies, on Twitter that is, Ripper Roo, who many believed, including myself, to be cut from the game. Well, the thing is, he wasn't really cut from the game per se. The whole thing about Ripper Roo being cut from the game began with Crash 4's art book, which released a couple of months ago. Paying attention to this paragraph written by Josh Needleberg, art director at Toys for Bob, there was never the word cut used in the paragraph. It just made it seem like Ripper Roo was cut from the game. Not just because of this art book, by the way, but an unused variant of Run It By You soundtrack. If you ever listened to this unused soundtrack, you can hear Ripper Roo's theme. I'll leave the link in the description below. Looking at all the TNTs in this level, especially, it has Ripper Roo written all over it. And speaking of TNTs, this is what Duenas specified in the Twitter replies. We got a question and answer. Rob, do you know why he wasn't in the game eventually? I'm guessing you chased him down the river on your jetboard originally, but why was he taken out? He wasn't taken out. We just pitch ideas, and then the game direction goes from there. Every game movie has the same process, it's normal. And then he simply explained that they just love drawing characters at Toys for Bob. So yeah, what this means, Ripper Roo was just a concept. It's not like Ripper Roo was already programmed to be part of the story script, only to later be taken out. That's not the case. His official statement on Twitter when sharing his own concept of Ripper Roo is this. Early Crash 4 concept development. Here's an early take I did on Ripper Roo. Just early ideations. I tried to get Jiny Toony bombs in most my work. If you weren't aware, Canadian Gaye recently had a talk with producer Lou Studdert at Toys for Bob. Studdert explained that what's in the art book regarding Ripper Roo is not accurate. Ripper Roo was never supposed to appear at the end of Mosquito Marsh. Mosquito Marsh being the dimension in which Run It By You resides in. So yeah, as he was saying, Ripper Roo was supposed to appear throughout the entirety of the level. All that TNT, he confirmed, would have been a result of Ripper Roo. Studdert also felt like having Ripper Roo appear out of nowhere would be odd. You know, like no connection to the story. It kind of felt too much, he explained. It's like trying to build up something that wasn't really part of the game's story. That's what he said. So in the end, with all the love they have for Ripper Roo, they decided to give him a cameo in Offbeat and put him in the 100% epilogue. Simply put it this way, Ripper Roo was thought of very early on during development, and in the end they just didn't include him, as part of the story. Lou Studdert also explained that using the word cut sounds funny. He wasn't really cut, he was just thought of. Now as you notice in the video, Duenas shared two concepts of Ripper Roo, which he calls ideations. Paying more attention to his ideations, Papu Papu was thought of, just like Ripper Roo. So, in this case, we cannot say that Papu Papu got cut. We'd like to believe he was part of the early phase of development. Now, these ideations you find on his ArtStation all contain similar subtext. Early Crash 4 concept development, Papu Papu ideations. I have to say, Papu on the left looks very cool, like giving him more of a square facial structure. I'd like to assume, just looking at these, that Duenas was playing around with the idea of multiple dimensions, hence the different model on the left. Or maybe that was just a complete remodel of the character. But then we have the model we're most familiar with on the right, you know, the more rounder Papu Papu. Heck, there's even early concept of Papu's staff. So this tells us that this character was at least discussed at some point in development. I mean, one of these staffs really would have acted as a weapon. So it's possible Papu was maybe planned of being another boss in Crash 4. I mean, that'd be the easiest guess. I wouldn't have imagined Papu Papu being like on the good side, but maybe, I mean, out of all people, we got Dingodile on the good side. So anything's possible, really. So diving deeper into all these concepts, the different variants for Perfect Relic appears yet again. Over on the cutting room floor, you can find GIFs of early Perfect Relic models, or variants call it. These variants I always thought would have depended on how you complete the level. The thing about these Perfect Relics, you have to collect everything without dying once. Except, you know, for the hidden gem, you don't have to find that. So I take it, depending of how you exactly completed the level, if you died once or twice maybe, we would have gotten different variants of these relics, but in the end they just stuck with one, you know, 2D style. So what this tells us right here, they really had thought of different styles for these relics, you know, just like the time relics. So next up, we have Neocortex's platforms, which is known as Neoblast Goopy State. Early on, Duenas had drawn multiple jelly-like platforms. He had gone as far as imagining platforms having their own more complex behavior, like how here, for example, the item would swirl inside when you jump on it. And yeah, some of these look a bit more brutal, like an eye popping out of its socket. A platform with multiple eyes, huh. And for the solid platforms, there was the idea of different styles, but ultimately they stuck with the simple idea of a jelly platform and a solid platform, like this one right here, which he titled Final Ideations for Neocortex's Weapon. Jelly mode on top, solid options on bottom. What we have in the final product is in fact purple jelly platforms, but with a gray solid instead. Another cool thing the artist shared on ArtStation, skins that didn't make the cut. Here's a grip of skin ideations that didn't make the cut. I added a lot more details knowing that they would eventually be simplified for final render, but I thought they would help sell the story of the theme, and then the team would pick one or two things to keep. Sadly, none made the cut. Looking at the prehistoric one, Duenas put Spyro references in there and he said it so himself. In this case we have sparks, which is pretty cool. We have concepts for Coco. He really wanted a fly trap bracelet. Spacesuit concepts for Coco. My personal favorite from these concepts for Crash would be the pro wrestling themed ones. These look splendid, they look colorful. I would have loved to have these in the game. There are references in here for sure. My personal favorite for Coco, tabletop games inspired, or, in other words, Dungeon and Dragons. Now obviously all these floating extra items wouldn't be part of the skin. As Duenas stated, he imagined these being rendered much more simpler in the end. If these floating items were to make the cut, I'd imagine them popping up as idle animations. There's so many interesting concepts which you can see for yourself. Just looking at all these, they would have been tied to levels containing the theme of this skin. Pretty much what we already have in the game as of currently. Skins that match the theme of levels. So with that being said folks, this is it for the video. If you're interested in seeing more of Duenas' work, I will make sure to leave a link to his ArtStation in the description below. So as usual, if you have any questions, or theories, or anything of such sort, leave it in the comment section below. And as always, I've been VTNVIVI, thank you so much for the support, and until next time.